Thank God it's Friday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. So our children are getting ready to go back to school, and I'm looking forward to it. I've enjoyed them being home, but sometimes it's good when, you know, they get back to school. It's easier to like follow routines when they're off to school. So, and then I'm also learning. Is it learning? I'm doing the prayer. So I never used to make it like a big thing. So we would pray normally, but I've been seeing lots of specific prayers for children going back to school. I don't know, maybe because my child is now away from me in boarding school. I just feel the need to make a special prayer for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think it's good. Because it helps, it gives you comfort that, because there are some things that you cannot do, no matter what you say, no matter how you plan, some things are beyond you. So hand over to, and then it helps to ease that anxiety of, hey, my child is going back to school, I hope he settles it, because, you know, God has already handled it.
But you know my problem, I used to feel that we like to use our faith like a charm. So I would pray normally, regular prayer, any time of the day, but when I feel like it's a bit like we're scamming God, when we now pick it as it, you know, and say it because we expect
the way we
something.
prayed towards the beginning of the year.
Yes. Why is it so special now? Why haven't you prayed all this while? Why wait until now and then ask me a special prayer?
All right. How are you doing? Alaja Nima Akashat Zibiri. How are you?
Grateful to God. So let me quickly just say tomorrow is my best friend's mother's 75th birthday.
Okay.
Mrs. Onwadi, and I intend to be there, inshallah, at the Catholic Church. They're having a mass for her, for our prayers in the morning, and we've been best friends for too many years for me not to be in church.
Oh my God.
So we'll be there tomorrow, inshallah.
My best friend's birthday is today, and you make me feel like a bad best friend. So happy birthday, Nene. It's a big one, and happy birthday. I love you. I'm just so happy for you and all the things that you've achieved. Happy birthday, darling.
Nice. How are you doing, Topsy?
I'm very good.
When is your own best friend's birthday?
I'm happy that people have best friends, and I know that it's not too late, you know. It can happen at 40, where you just, God will give you that, like,
Am I not your best friend?
I think you are blessed with best friends.
No. I've been blessed with friends.
Especially Moriah, I'm coming for her.
I've heard you people having friends for like
Moriah's
15 years, 25 years friendship. Somebody you met in secondary school. I don't have that. I don't have a secondary school friend.
I don't have that either.
Or a university friend that we grew up together. I don't have it. But I know that it doesn't have to be that way. And it can be another way that God will bring that.
I get really jealous. My husband has friends from like
primary school.
They don't about daycare. They're in the same daycare all the way to primary, secondary school.
amazing.
Like when
If they're boys, if they're
What
girls,
you are
like...
possessing, it means that we're constantly together, we're constantly talking. Since Nancy married and went to Body Islands, I've not seen her. So whenever she's visiting her mom,
but there's a bond. There's a
there's
foundational
a bond. She just needs to do a
That's
phone
what
call,
we're
and I'll
saying,
make
that
sure I
we
do
understand
understand.
that bond.
God can give us the foundation in our late 30s or in our 40s. Anything can happen. But that was my back.
How are you doing?
I'm very good. Nigerians like waiting for last minutes. You know, like yesterday, people were like calling me, the bank has closed. I'm trying to do the transfer.
After your
the
sale.
app is not working. Like, you know, I missed out on Dank sales, and I really regretted it because I knew I wanted her product, but I did not buy it during the sale. I'm going to buy it after. Many Nigerians just end up saying, I will, and procrastination is a big deal. It will cost you a lot. So this year, it's early enough. Let's set intention that if I want something, I'll just go and go for it. Don't push it till tomorrow
that happened
or
with
next year.
picking up your PVC, getting INEC registration. You keep leaving it until on the day of closing, you now gather. I said, they have closed the gate. They didn't allow us to enter. Like, look at this human.
Last minute. When they've been announcing it since, go and get your PVC.
They won't answer. On the last 20, on that, when it's January 15th, they're going to close it January, I think it's 15th of January. That they're going to 22nd, I'm not sure. Sometime in January, 22nd of January.
Okay.
Go and collect your PVC now. You know, on the last day, you now start calling, so put it social media. They have closed the gate. Give us an extension. It's not going to happen. Nigerians, go and pick up your PVC. It's really annoying. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll look for the... Do you have more time? Okay, no. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Presidential poll, G5 keeps PDP supporters in suspense. Couple, 6 others arrested for allegedly killing and selling women's parts. NFIU to enforce ban on cash withdrawals from public accounts. All APC governors behind Tinubu, Sulu affirms. Council autonomy, our headache on constitutional amendment. And 22 fuel stations sealed for selling above approved price. Which story are we starting with?
Okay, let me take the 22 filling stations sealed. So, the nation reports that the Nigerian midstream and downstream petroleum regulatory authority, that's the former DPR, in Kano and Lagos have sealed a total of 22 filling stations for selling above pump price. So, about 14 in Kano and the rest 8 in Osun State, were sealed. And the Kano Oga at the top was talking about how they found filling stations to be selling at 295 to 300 naira per litre. And they've sealed them, they have the powers to, and they are fining them 150,000 naira per pump nozzle. So each of the pumps times how many they have that they're selling from is what they'll be fining them. But they have the power to take away their licenses. They have the power to sanction payment of penalty and invalidation of all their transactions. And the one that sweets my belly, he added that filling stations, moment stations, that's the major oil marketers in Kano, are selling at 185 naira per litre, which means that, of course, there's that difference. He then said that they've sealed 124 stations in Kano alone in December, and for stations that refuse to sell, they will take away their equalization transactions. That's the 45 naira per litre for fuel transported from Lagos to Port Harcourt to each of those states that the federal government pays. The one that, we had a representative from one of these bodies discussing that amount of money was what they needed at that time to distribute fuel. And he says that they will take that away from them as well. So I'm hoping that they do this, because in Lagos here, we still buy at 230 per litre for states that, that. So we know filling station. If you need, just drive through Apapa to the expressway and pretend that you're nobody, and you buy it like that. So.
Oh, this story I have is a sad story. So it says that a couple and 6 others have been arrested in Ogun State for killing a 26-year-old mother of 2. So the story starts on the 28th of December. She left home and she didn't return. Her friend went to report to the police saying that she's gone missing. They asked her to come back in 24 hours. When she didn't, the police started an investigation, and they found, some people had found a dismembered body not too far away from the house. The body was taken to the mortuary. The friend was able to identify that was her friend. Investigation led them to a herbalist who had her phone, and they found a container of her blood in his house. The investigations led them to the couple who said she was lured to the herbalist's place, pinned down, and then dismembered. Her legs were sold for 30,000. Her heart sold for 50,000 naira, Nigerians. Anyway, they have been arrested.
Ogun State, oh?
Yes.
Next door.
Yes.
You could have been Lagos.
Yes.
Next door. Really sad. And I mean, this kind of people should just be killed. Like,
we still have to say
point.
allegedly.
Due process. You have to now go to the courts. Just take a gun and just kill these people. I don't understand why we have to just go through the process.
I think so, because you need to have a strong deterrent.
Somebody must
Everybody knows that when
measures.
I get caught, I'm gone.
Yes.
So it might reduce
That's what our lawmakers should be doing. There should be certain crime that you commit that on the spot, once they have the evidence against you, they should let you go right there.
So
let's move on.
NFIU, that's the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, has announced that from the 31st of March, there will be limits to cash withdrawal. Said the ban on cash withdrawals from banks, public banks, commences on March 31st this year. He said that even this applies to no matter who you are, politician, businesses, foreign missions, political parties, Nigerian development. The restriction also affects Nigerian development partners. Everybody is, the only waiver on this has to come directly from the president. The guideline also covers that prosecuted after his tenure, that they would investigate while bank in office. And I'm looking forward to how this will be implemented. I know that it's with positive intention to curb money laundering and reduce corruption, but let's see how the implementation would work out on the March this year. Let's see how it works out.
Okay, moving on to The Punch. 28 governors pile up 5.8 trillion naira debt for incoming governments. Consumers say electricity tariff hike illegal. Anger spreads. FG gives operators ultimatum to name oil wells owners. 2 senior lawyers wants EFCC scrapped. How Lagos policeman ministry paid 185,000 naira for a newborn. Lagos Ibadan Highway, commuters groan as Julius Berger returns. Supporters demand sainthood for Benedict as ex-pope is buried. Makinde kickstarts second-term campaign, faces multiple battles. So I didn't read the Lagos Ibadan story, but I know that a friend of mine was complaining of the fact that they had actually closed back, returned the blockade on the Lagos Ibadan because obviously they're preparing to start. So I called the engineer Kuti quickly from the Ministry of Works, and he was saying that they're supposed to sensitize the public before. I thought they had agreed. They said, I thought I heard January 15th, but he's saying that that's not what he said. But so from this, we're hoping that Julius Berger would remove the barriers. Based on what he told me yesterday, he said that they will remove the barriers at least for the weekend, let people return back home from their travels, and then begin to sensitize the public next week before they now start work again. So I hope that's what Julius Berger does coming this weekend for those who are coming back home. Okay, any other story in Punch? I know we got the papers late, so...
We got the papers
okay, let's just go on a break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. All right, which story? Anybody?
Okay,
so... Yes, Nima, go ahead.
Okay, the continued tariff hike Punch continues on how people are still complaining and calling the tariff hikes illegal. So the discos have increased tariff silently without informing anybody. And even the Gencos are expressing concern about the development. According to them, this Punch reports, the companies, the discos increased tariff and the Gencos are hearing about it. They call it a perfect robbery, according to consumers. They're also still asking the NRC to do the needful and be on top of the issue. This report is holistic, but at the end of the bottom of the story, NRC has not responded on what they'll be doing. Gencos still, of course, are surprised at it. Although they said there's supposed to be a 6 months upward review legally, but that is not what they followed, because that preceding that will be an announcement of the necessary increment, and that is not in the papers.
So in the Punch also, they're saying how Lagos policeman ministry paid 185,000 for a newborn and mother is demanding a baby. So it's a story of surrogacy or adoption gone wrong, and I think that was, to get a better view of it, it's best to read it. But from what I garnered is that she was approached by a family for surrogacy. No, not a family, an agent. And from her understanding of that relationship, she was supposed to get 1.4 million. They were supposed to give her payments at different points in time when she would confirm that she had been pregnant, where she would stay once the pregnancy comes, and when she goes to the hospital, different amounts. But she said that when they finally did the test, the thing had failed, so she did not get pregnant. And they went their separate ways. But that she and the woman kept having a conversation because they were talking about adoption, that if she could get pregnant, and then they were willing to adopt the child. But she said they never came to a conclusion while she was pregnant. The wife, the mother, the couple, that's the woman, the couple says her husband was still not comfortable with the idea. And so she took her child, she had her child, and she was living with her child, and she said she was invited by the police, and then her baby was taken away from her, amount was given to her, and that was all. So she's saying that, yes, and she was, his name is Pabio in the paper. So she's saying that she's been trying to, get in touch with them to find out anything, and they want her not to come to that police station again, not to try and reach them. And so she's demanding justice. So she's saying, as far as she's concerned, there was nothing legally binding for her to hand over her child to this couple, since the woman had not even agreed, or she was not sure if they wanted to do have the adoption process, and no money was given to her. No money was given to her during that period.
I guess just a surrogacy gone bad. We need to really make sure that lawyers, and we need lawyers to really make sure that these are going smoothly. End of that story.
Yes, I want to take the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulation Commission has issued a 7-day ultimatum for all. If you are an operator, you have an oil well, you know, many of these things are done under company names. You need to release the name of the beneficiary of the companies that own oil wells in Nigeria. They said this is in accordance to, it's a new release. The NUPRC, following what NATI did. NATI also had disclosed all the companies that own oil well, but we don't know the people that benefit from it. Said that NATI and NUPRC are working together to increase and implement transparency in the energy sector. And so they want all the beneficiaries on ownership and the degree of ownership of all the individuals that own oil well in Nigeria to be disclosed. And I'm looking forward to that because many people have speculation that it's from this region is benefiting from that region because it's shrouded in secrecy. But with this, it will be formally disclosed that every oil well in Nigeria, who owns it, to what degree. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, Daily Sun. FG states local governments go full cashless March 1st. Presidency will be most qualified, says Afe Babalola. NNPC denies exporting 17.87 barrels of oil without documentation. Customs loses 4 officers, arrests 176 smuggling suspects. I'll lead Nigeria to prosperity, says Tinubu. G5 governors in Oyo keep mum on article, seek support for other parties' candidates. Buhari to security agencies, end crude oil theft by May 29th. And only countries invested in technology can succeed, says the Naseni EVC. I was going to take the G5 story. So yesterday, all the G5 governors, if you recall, they're also known as the Integrity Group. That's the governor of Rivers State, Benue, Abia, Enugu, and Oyo State. They were there to support Governor Makinde of Oyo State as he flagged off his campaign yesterday. And in all their speeches, none of them categorically confirmed who they'll be supporting. However, they reiterated the need for all party members to vote for their party within that state of Oyo. So, senatorial, House of Representatives, they should vote for PDP. But they were mum about Atiku, and they also mum about who they're going to support individually. People expected that, but nothing. They didn't say anything about that.
Except Wike that said, Makinde would let you know.
Yeah, but he mentioned his own. Was it a few days ago?
No, that was 2 days ago.
Yes.
But at this campaign that they had,
all of them
Wike just said, for the presidential, for that one, you know that one, Makinde will tell you.
Please, let me clarify the story on NFIU and the cashless policy that I took earlier. The cashless policy is not for everybody. The cashless policy affects all public accounts. No, not public office holders, public accounts. So any contracts going out from the government, federal government, local government, ministries, they are not allowed to pay cash for the contract.
Okay. Did they pay cash before?
Some do. Some are not disclosed. But now they say federal government, state, local government, everybody, only any agency that does not want to pay cash, even if you are paying to foreign agencies, it has to be done via transfer, and it's to enable transparency from the 1st of March. The only waiver will come from the presidency's office, allowing them to pay cash.
That's my problem. Now, they put a timeline to something that is already law. Number one, the law did not put a timeline itself. It's already in action. Why are they not arresting them already? Then they put an imprisonment as a consequence of it. Which governor is not immune? Which president is not immune? Let them be doing talk. I wanted to take NNPC responding, so let me just read what they said. According to the NNPC, they said, our attention has been drawn to an online publication alleging that the NNPC Limited exported 17.877 million barrels of crude oil without proper documentation in 4 years, between 2016 to 2020. And the statement read that the Auditor General's report, in reference, did mention 32 oil marketing companies involved in the non-completion of the NXP forms, but that does not in any way mean that the proceeds from the sale of the said crude were not repatriated into the coffers of the NNPC Limited and consequently into the federal government's account for federal-related barrels. So they're responding to this Auditor General's allegation against them, and they are saying they are completely absolved hope the Auditor General will respond.
There's still a lot of smuggling going on. So here is report from the custom. The Federal Operation Units Zone A of the Nigerian Customs Service on Thursday said it has intercepted 156 trailer loads of rice, 656,414 liters of PMS, that's petrol, leaving the country, and other contraband worth 13 billion naira in 2022. They also said, sadly, 4 officers lost their lives to trying to stop and intercept smugglers, and they were able to arrest 176 smuggling suspects who are now facing, they have now been taken to court. Some of them were drug-related suspects, and they said those 2 were handed over to the NDLEA, while 151 were police. They were handed over to the police to prosecute them. Some are out on administrative bail, but we really need to help. This smuggling hurts our economy, so I don't know why we're still doing this.
Because criminals
Vanguard.
Criminalized.
All government payments must be cashless from March. Why fuel prices has persisted, NNPCL. Military pension begins payment of allowance of retirees, deceased of officers' families. 18 burned to death in Bauchi auto crash. How Obasanjo's seizure of Lagos revenue triggered our brain work, says Tinubu. Presidency, Makinde will tell you the candidate to vote for Wike tells or your NDDC, shame of a nation, says Onoche, new chairman. And EFCC operating outside its power, says Agbakuba.
Yeah, so the Military Pensions Board, MPB, has commenced payment of security debarment allowances, SDA, to military retirees and also the next of kin of the deceased military retirees who are entitled to the debarment allowances, with qualified year for beneficiaries put at 2017. The chairman of the Military Pensions Board, Rear Admiral Saburi Lawal, disclosed this in Abuja yesterday. He said that the payment was effective yesterday, January 5th, 2023, and he said that the payments will cover the first and second tranches. And I know that I remember taking the story where some of the military retirees were protesting the fact that they had not received these allowances, and so it's shown that government has started paying. And we hope to also hear from those who are beneficiaries, if indeed, because there's one thing about us in Nigeria, we'll see something on the papers of the pages of the newspaper, and then in reality. So we'd like to hear from the beneficiaries if they're indeed receiving these allowances.
I have 2 stories there. One for, so Peter Obi has been endorsed by Chief Afe Babalola, SAM. He said that Peter Obi is the most qualified person to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari. According to him, he's one that can actually help to push education forward, because according to him, he'll be celebrating 60 years of his call to bar this year, and that without education, he had to do everything by correspondence. He had to learn, he didn't go to primary school, secondary school, he had to learn everything by correspondence. I believe that Peter Obi's administration will put education in its rightful place in the coming elections. The other story is about Ashiraju, who was in Benin City. He was also saying that Olusegun Obasanjo, former President Olusegun Obasanjo's refusal to give them their federal allocation was what triggered his intellectual capacity, himself and his lieutenant, to be able to find creative ways to get revenue for Lagos State and to bring where Lagos State is today, creating jobs and prosperity for Lagosians. And he was asking that Edo State should vote for him because he'll turn Edo State into the hub. And also saying he criticized the governor for pulling down his billboards, saying that with or without billboards, he's still going to win the state. And will turn internet fraudsters to experts manufacturing and creation of chips for our future. So our flag bearers are saying all they can to win the campaigns. Okay, what other story in Vanguard?
ASU said they want to increase, yes, ASU has said that they want to increase education tax. They said this, that they are advising the government so that they're increasing funds so that we can have more funds for the educational sector, that we should increase our educational tax from 2.5% to 10%. They also mentioned that this came from the federal government when they made a presentation of 15 new textbooks published by Nigerian authors under the sponsorship of TET Fund, Minister of Education, Malam Adamu Adamu. generally, because I am paying taxes seriously now, when I hear things like this, my hair is, it affects me. Because the education tax fund that they're asking to increase from 2.5% to 10% is paid by all limited liability company within the country. And yes, so far it goes to TED fund, but I will before me, I would agree or support this. Before I lead the campaign against it, I would ask that let us see the audited report of TED fund, because this one would affect my bottom line.
That is
I'm already paying 30.
That's where I want every Nigerian to be. Pay taxes so you can ask questions. Now it is pinching you. But the ones that are allowed on social media, they have never paid one tax in their entire life. They'll shout. But you see, they will just shout. But you know, you can shout because you're paying them. Even me too. I have to do my tax returns, and I know how much I have to cough out. So people like us, we can
shout is serious.
It's legitimate shouting.
But you know what they're asking for it? They want us to get more books by Nigerian authors. They said our tertiary institutions, we depend largely on foreign books. And the minister had just unveiled about
50 new books.
Yeah, about 50 new books that Nigerian authors, have done. So this is, they're asking that TED fund needs to be improved upon. The fund that they raise, we need to increase it. So that's why they're asking.
So once we know that and we confirm that indeed they're bringing Nigerian authors, we will support.
Remove from the 30% they are collecting
I'm happy that
from company income tax.
You asked the right questions. Okay, that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, move on to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, today's Friday. We like to discuss celebrity gossip. Stuff amongst celebrity industries. So, the celebrities that have been trending the most this past week has been Alex Ekubo and Fancy Acholunu, about their 5-year relationship they didn't have any intimate relationship, and the whole matter went viral. People were talking about it, everybody was speaking. A blogger, Dotun, jumped on the bandwagon because the issue was that Fancy came out to say that that Alex hadn't touched her in 5 years because he wanted to remain celibate, saying that he shouldn't do anything until after marriage. And people started going on. People down started treating her like a victim of a 5-year drought in this situation. Then Dotun came out to say that, vendors, I thought the moral standing of our country and our religious beliefs is that no sex before marriage. So what's the hula balu? Why are you making it look as if it was a bad thing that he insisted on celibacy? Then of course Daddy Freeze jumped in there and said that was he also celibate during that period? Different angles, both left, right, and center. And as we always say, when discussions happen out there, until your view takes it on, really, we are not able to really properly look at all the possible angles. So that's why we're bringing this matter on the table. Is it still right to be celibate before your marriage? And if you are celibate, is it something two adults can agree to? Because in this situation, it seems like the adults we have today do not understand celibacy anymore. And why was everybody going after this woman or this man for choosing making that decision? What are your thoughts on this whole thing? I mean, I'd like the ladies I'd like to hear your views before I open our phone lines. You can call us on 081-270-5368-709-1390-76948. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweets. I think it's BC that always says that Nigerians are hypocrites. Like, we're one of the most hypocritical species God ever created, because these are things we do. But don't just get, I think it's my answer, don't just get caught. As long as you're doing it behind closed doors. So during that 5, but let us come out and say, oh, I am so celibate. What are your thoughts on this? Are we just hypocritical, or do we need to start bringing back the values our parents taught us, or the Bible teaches us every day? Mariam, would you like to start?
Top West.
So when I saw this, honestly, when I saw it, I was more like, there's been there's a lot of conversation that we don't like to have in the public space. We feel like private things should be private. That's my opinion. If you're doing before you get married, keep it to yourself. If you are abstaining before you get married, keep it to yourself. So that there won't be need to lie. You know, because sometimes somebody will now come and say, no, we've been very, very faithful, we were abstaining, and then you find out something else is going on. Like we saw someone that was claiming to be a cross-dresser male, find out that he is not a she, actually, but he was having a girlfriend and he was in a sexual relationship with a woman. But across on social media, he dresses like a she and is monetizing the position. You know, so I feel that some things should be private. Issues should be resolved privately. I was very, very sad when I saw this really beautiful lady come outside to start discussing private issues because people kept questioning and questioning. When I read the chat, the trend on Twitter, they asked her question, she was replying. You didn't owe anybody replies to their questions. Let people form their opinion because whatever you say, they will still believe what they originally wanted to believe. I think that relationships and marriage should be for mature people, and it requires a lot of maturity to deal with the social media space. Fancy shouldn't have gotten a relationship and privacy of a relationship to be out online. However, she has come to say that she dated Alex for 5 years, and they did not have intimate relationship. And the social media people have said they've always suspected Alex in the first place, that Alex is not, you know, that was their own suspicion. And now her comment is validating a belief that people have about Alex in the first place.
Yeah, but there's a part that people thought he was gay.
And
that's what she's talking about.
That's what I said. People feel like he's not straight. You know, so...
But she said it herself that he told me he won't sleep with me, but I should go and sleep with other men.
Why are you whispering on national television?
Read this now. Because we need this. Read it. I don't want to talk.
Yes, I think the conversation is not about, like you always say,
like talking about people.
Good. It's not about, it's about the lessons we can draw from this. And every time we talk about red flags in relationships. And I think the question is this a red flag if you're in a relationship? If you're an adult and you're in a relationship with another adult of marriageable age and everything is okay, and the person says to you, let's be celibate 1 year, okay, 2 years, but let's be celibate 5 years. Should that be a red flag to anyone? If I had a younger sister, she came to me and said, this person, we've been in a relationship 5 years and nothing has happened, I would think it's a red flag. Not because I'm promoting premarital intimacy, but because I feel that usually people who are celibate, you are full-grown adults, you have everything sorted. Because you want to get married and you have agreed to be celibate, usually you would want your marriage to happen sooner. You would not want to keep it for 5 years. Everything is down. We're not talking finances. We're not talking someone is in school and trying to finish up school. We're not talking unable to visit each other. We're talking of two full-grown adults that everything is just laid out, and the only thing stopping them is their decision to, their decision to or not do it. So for me, it will be a red flag. Usually when you hear of people who have been celibate, they will tell you how hard it was, how hard the wait was, how I cannot wait. And then even at the wedding, like, I was, that's why the moment I gave her the ring, I told her we had to do this in 6 months, or I had to do this in 3 months because I cannot wait anymore. And so to hear that 5 years, for me, it's just a red flag. And as the girl, it's not about telling people. And my concern with her is she was still insisting on being married. It seemed like she still wanted to be married to this person. So if it was not a red flag for you, why are you bringing it out? But for me, if I had a younger sister, it would be a red flag, definitely.
Nima, your thoughts on this?
We know where you stand. 0. 0.
So for me, Alex is the right thing, except that, there are too many gray lines that I cannot understand.
It's difficult to understand.
So some people date 9 years, they don't have sex. In my own experience, sex is normal. And so we even praise it and make it an example for others that it's possible, even though you have the urges.
9 years.
And you respect each other, and then you eventually marry. And so
9 years adult, or 9 years teenage love that grows into
9 years, 100 level love till you finally are able to get married, but you abstain and you're committed to each other. So sex is not the parameter for commitment.
Yes.
But for the way this lady is talking about it, it's like she wants to marry him and compel him to change from whatever she thinks he is. So part of the details Bola refused to read because me, I don't conclude without reading. He says, but for one major red flag that made me devastated was that he told me he won't sleep with me, but I should go and sleep with other men. Imagine telling that to your fiancée that has kept herself for you for 5 years. At that moment, I realized he didn't truly love me. That's your red flag. Just walk away. You leave him. You don't attach issues. You look for somebody that falls within your, except you want to, because he's a popular person, you yourself want to get popular and start a pity party. I don't understand why we're having this conversation. If someone, in those days, if someone was dating me, I remember the first person that asked me out, I broke up with him because it was becoming too touchy. And then he went around spreading one stupid news like, I don't even owe her, I don't know why she's so like that. And end of relationship. You understand? Because it was a ground rule for me. Don't touch me. So if touching is your, and I didn't even have a conversation about it with anybody, I just walked away, that person is not following the rules, Kito Mashalong. And I moved away. But you start a conversation as if you want to change him, you're calling him out, calling people out, bring it. If you're hurt, deal with your pain and move on. How do you want to, if, for instance, he was one of those women, or she was one of those women who find out that he pretended they married and then he's the other side. Remember one caller that called the other day that
she found out
and
that
your marriage,
yeah,
and you're finding out. Which cry do you want to cry at that time? It's already late.
Yeah.
So this kind of thing is grace that you're enjoying. Just be going. Alora Mirabi, don't let him see you again.
So
don't see him again.
She's already said that she didn't want to get back into a
Why are we
relationship
having
with
this
him.
conversation?
She put it out in one of her tweets that she doesn't want to get back into a relationship with him, but that she had to apologize because he insisted that she did to protect her public image. Okay, so if we decide to ignore all the stories around the details around this particular story and talk about premarital intimacy, how long should you wait?
So wait, let me put in the proper context also. So let's pack Fancy and Alex's matter. We're not interested in their details. Our focus is, at what point, just like you said, at what point should you know that the fact that there's no intimacy in this relationship is something that you need to start thinking about, or is a red flag for me? Do I stop it? How long do I need to take? Do I wait to 2 years, 3 years, 1 month? Especially when I am a Christian or I'm a Muslim, where I know that I'm supposed to abstain.
Yeah.
Now, because I abstain, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I abstain. And I finally enter, and I find that this woman or this man are not able to do anything.
We're not compatible.
They're not compatible. Oh, no, they're not even able to.
They're even honest.
That's what I mean.
They're
not
impotent. Some are, they have
I've seen wicked shows that cover
so
up
it
impotency.
happens. When the Bible was telling us, thou shalt not do, that asked us to be celibate and all that. At that time, they didn't discover that some people will enter the marriage and might be impotent. Impotence was not really a medical condition at that time.
We are discussing.
But now, today, there are other factors. People had abortions when they were younger. Their wombs were thrown out for some reason, and they keep quiet about it. They enter the marriage, and then husband finds out that you can't get pregnant. There are different things. So should we start rethinking this moral code of don't before marriage?
No. We're not rethinking the moral code of don't before marriage at all. We're not. We wouldn't throw out what is right because some evil people are doing what is wrong. What is right is for you to abstain, protect yourself, because you're getting sexually involved with so many people that it affects your relationship going forward, and that is scientifically proven. But we know that body is not firewood, and some people would have experiences, they will feel like I'm already going to marry this person. It doesn't happen, and they've already exposed themselves, and so your life can happen to you, but it does not change what is right. So what is right is, this is moral, you and I are faithful to each other, we get married, we do it by all religious standards. But some people don't follow religious standards, and for them, they're experimenting as they please.
No, but you see,
however, there are evil people.
Wait. I want us to say what you're saying. Let us not always assume that once you are allowed to have the freedom of doing, you do everywhere. There's some responsible doers where they do because they only have they only have two. There may be one person per time.
Yeah.
Maybe in 4 or 5 years, I'm only dating one person, and I'm only we're not yet married, but I'm committed to that one person.
Why can't you just marry the person?
Hanging there. No. Maybe something happens
According
and
to
we
our
fall out.
religion.
Listen now, I don't want us to have the extreme that you're sleeping around. There are those that sleep around. There's that category.
Yes.
But there's some people who feel responsible.
Committed
I'm in a
to
committed relationship.
Yes.
We've been dating for 3 years and we're intimate. At some point, something happens and we had to break up. And I take a 2-year break. I don't date anybody. And then I meet somebody else again.
Yes.
And so that is
That can happen.
That's a responsible doing. You're not doing everywhere. So in that situation, how long do I stay with you to know that, okay, how do I know the red flags? So do we continue this moral code of let us not do at all? You now enter one chance. That's the conversation. Let's be real here.
Some things are meant to be dealt with in a marriage, a committed arrangement. Some things that we test, we are doing tests back and forth,
Yes.
are some things that you deal with within a relationship, as in a spiritual, committed relationship. And we'll precede one, we'll carry one, and then later we'll be talking about it. Some people spend the years that they could use to solve their relationship problems outside their marriage, and then they end up not being married, and the problems are still the same. You're dating someone, you're trying to get pregnant, you didn't get married, and then several years back, you're wondering, I could have been married, and these problems are still the same, they're not different.
Exactly.
You want to be sure you want to have children. Where did you write it down? You want to be sure he's impotent. Where did they put the book? If it's not because of Waka Waka self, how do you determine potency, impotency? How do you determine these things?
Until marriage.
If you're concerned about a marriage, a companionship, somebody you're committed to for life and all of that, that's how you come in and you start to deal with life's issues together, holding each other's hands. What's this? We are confusing too many things. And how this whole thing started, I don't know, but where we are now, we know it's not easy. You've tried with Dagbaja A. Tomorrow you're dealing with Dagbaja's A example with the person you're finally with. You're going back and forth, comparing the person. The other person too meets you and you smile by mistake. Is insecure. These people start to measure how the past was. I don't understand.
Okay.
Why don't you like life easy and simple?
Let me concentrate on red flags. And red flag for me in this situation is not only because, if the person is not intimate with me, that means the person is not into women. It's also a red flag that does the person really want to be committed to you. This asking women to stay celibate this is not the first time we've heard it. But because we've seen situations where the girl is asked to stay celibate while the man is not. So for the girl, is it a red flag for you if you're asked to stay celibate while the man is running around because he's the man and you're the woman and you're meant to keep yourself? She said at the time she met him, I know we're not talking about that, I'm just using that as an example, she was inexperienced. There are conversations I have heard where for a young girl who's a virgin and inexperienced, I want to keep you for the marital home. So I'm keeping you, you're a treasure. I don't want to soil this treasure, so I can go out and do all the things I want to do with different kinds of women, but I'll keep you. And many girls have been kept that way. And they feel happy, actually. They feel quite treasured that, yes, my mom may be doing it. After all, you're the one that is giving yourself, but me, I'm his treasure.
I'm the one that is marrying.
Yes. If I had a younger person, what would I tell her? For me, I would say it's a red flag. Because for me, it means that in marriage, he will still not be committed to you. If he cannot commit to you now and knows that you're a treasure and willing to wait with you while you're this treasure, then he would not be, when you get married, he will not be committed to you. He will say, keep, being the treasure in the marriage while I do all I need to do. There are so many other reasons why people ask, for celibacy, and it's not always, honest. It's almost like a power play, especially when you have like a younger person involved. And so for me, these red flags are important that we discuss it. Many times we discuss red flags, we think it's about beating, hitting. That's true. But there are some emotional red flags too that we need to pay attention to.
Let me go on a break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this matter of celibacy, red flags, and marriages. Somebody sent me a message. Morel, do you know that in Catholic Church, a marriage will be annulled if the man is found to be impotent? I didn't know that was the first. Now, let me put it in, let me put this context out there because I know the story, I don't know the person personally, but a young girl who had a very healthy sexual relationship with people, and maybe not, let me not say healthy, unhealthy sexual escapades with different people as a young person, going into university, and then she got out of university, found Christ, gave her life to Christ, decided to be celibate. So she has had a few experiences, and then she became pious. Married a minister, found somebody in church. You know, they waited, I think, about a few years before they now finally got married. She now entered the marriage, and the man was not doing anything. Because everything was about fasting, praying, he's not good, he's anti-God, he was just religionizing everything in that area. And this is a woman who had a bit of experience in the world. Now she's within the, what do we call our sect again? She's in the
Christendom.
She's in Christendom. She's in the Christendom, and then she's not having a fulfilled sexual life. Now, how could she have raised a red flag? Because as a child of God, she was being celibate. Because if she wasn't celibate, she would have known that this guy wasn't active or didn't know what to do in that area. And maybe they would have fixed it. I'm just putting different scenarios out there. So what could she have done right? Because now that she's trapped in this marriage with a Christian.
She's not trapped. She's not a trap. No. There's a challenge. There is a intimacy challenge which can be addressed with a coach.
Thank you.
There's a coach that a husband would not want to address.
Because you will have the
Nigerian
conversation.
men wouldn't want to address this kind of
I think that at the end of the day, people need to be able to, there's no conversation too heavy to have, and I realize that there are. So for women, it is intimacy. For men, it is weight. Many men find it difficult to tell their partner she's gaining weight because they know women are very sensitive about it. I've heard the conversation, there's like, a guy told me that there's no nice way to tell your husband, your wife, she's getting fat. It is something very personal, and they will turn it into something else. Or that maybe you should clean your makeup. They say, so you mean I don't look good with makeup? Like there are some conversations that are sensitive, but when you are married and you are committed, there is no conversation you cannot have. So if you are in that marriage and you feel like you are not satisfied in the other room, you should be able to have that conversation with your husband and let him know, see, this is a major issue. Because whether you find out before or after, you might find out before and an accident happens. Let's talk about these things. People have accidents and they become impotent in marriage, and they were good men. They were faithful. They were amazing in bed, but life happened to them. Will you now pack up that marriage because it can no longer satisfy you in bed? We must be able to understand that there's resilience to different challenges in marriage. It might be sexual-oriented one. It might not be, but you will face different ones, and you will have to address those issues when they come up. No excuses. But there are wicked men and women. People who intentionally go into marriage knowing that they will prey on the innocence. You see an innocent girl that probably does not know anything, you prey on her innocence and say, because you know that you are not straight, you know that you are interested in other kind of sexual whatever, and then you pick on a girl because you want to cover your face and marry such a person when you are not going to further that relationship. Or you are impotent and you marry someone knowing fully well you are impotent. Those are evil actions, and I feel anybody caught in that situation should go for an annulment because you were deceived into that marriage.
Let me take this call from Yakub. I'll come to you, Nima. Good morning, Yakub. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead.
Good morning to you all. Mariah, quickly, because of time. This very particular topic is a very serious one. And then getting married to someone in the middle of water, you get to know that maybe you cannot do anything. There's no how that marriage is going to work. Let me quickly give you a simple example here. This is a life story I'm about to tell you. I have a friend. Because of time, I will summarize it. I have a friend that he really wants to marry one lady, and then he went ahead and told this very particular lady. The only thing that he said, my friend, is Quran. What I say is Quran is that even me that a friend of mine cannot even tell me you cannot do that. I don't know. But this very particular lady is eager to marry him, and then she was trying to force that marriage so that they can do the marriage stuff in time, and then they will go to that other room stuff. But I don't even know my friend cannot do that. But my friend has told me that, come, if we get to this marriage, I can't do this thing. I say, what are you trying to talk about? He said, other room stuff. I say, hey, you can't do what? How do you go to this? But I give him a tip. I told him that, tell this lady that, Quran does not allow this. Let's just keep him wait until the marriage day. We keep him postpone this marriage until we resolve this very particular issue. After we resolve it, the following 2 weeks we went into the marriage. But if we cannot resolve that very particular other stuff, even if my friend married this lady, the marriage will totally collapse. You cannot. There's no 2 ways about that. Are you getting what I'm trying to say?
Thank you, Yakub.
If you get into a marriage and then you've got to know that your man cannot do the other room, what you do is that you have to leave. If you don't leave, you go ahead and cheat him. That is it. That is it.
Thank you, Yakub.
Good morning.
Yeah,
if you don't leave, you go ahead and cheat.
He had a friend that had issues in the other room that couldn't have intimacy relationship, and then he found out.
They opened up to him and they helped him.
They helped him medically. Some of these things can be medically dealt with.
It even opens up the conversation about men willing to open up about that part of their lives, even to their own friends. So it's something we always feel that
they can't talk to each other.
Yeah, they don't talk to their wives because a man's
ego,
virility has to do, it's the man himself. Whether he can do or cannot do, it's the man. So if the wife suspects or if he thinks the wife thinks not so highly of his skills, he's not a man like that. And then he's also afraid to discuss with his friends because he feels that they will laugh at him. So I think men should do better in conversations like this. And luckily in this case, where it would have just been an issue that he would want to live with for the rest of his life, it was something that could be resolved. And that's the thing about marriage. A lot of people feel that this intimacy thing cannot be resolved. There are some people, yes, that haven't had as much experience, but what is the marriage bed for? As in experience, time galore. A lot of things happen. You learn some before you know it. You're even better than the person that when you came in was better. So the thing is, we should also talk about that in marriage. A lot of times when we talk about marriage and the lack of being able to do, we think that once you get to that marriage, and because you could not do it at the point of marriage, it can never improve. There's so many women, especially on the women's side, there's so many women who have gotten virgins and they have learned so many things within the marital bed.
Yes. Nima, let me let you come in because I have to wrap up on this.
Beyond the marital
I wanted
bed.
to respond to the scenario you painted of the woman who got married and the husband is not interested. They're making it seem like God hates sex. God loves sex. He's regulating it for the sanctity of the home and sanctity of family lineages. And that's why we're supposed to carry out certain things within that controlled setting. So if he doesn't want, you approach your husband. I said, use my husband if he's not in the mood. You do whatever you need to do to make your marriage work. And you open up. The problem is that most people don't talk about sex. The way we were raised, it wasn't my mom that was my gist partner about sex. It was my dad and my auntie.
Your dad?
Yes, my dad. My dad talks about sex. So, and my auntie. And so the people you have that are your closest protection that you know you can discuss it, you open up to them. This is what I'm dealing with. And whatever experiences they have, they can even be helping you medically. For men who are watching, because I have one of these scenarios Stockwell painted of a man who's infertile, was previously married for about 9 years, left that marriage and went to marry another younger girl, not telling her the truth. And because he thinks that, no, I'm beyond repair. He might just be marrying someone who doesn't want to change diapers. Why not open up to that person? Let people know what you're dealing with. And if you feel so that way about it, talk to your closest person about the solution.
Because we laugh at them.
Yakub just gave us somebody who opened up to him and they worked together. If you don't feel secure enough to work with the person you will be married to, work with your closest relative to find a solution before you go. But don't trap somebody who now gets in, and some men will not be giving their mother's impression is the wife who has a problem while they are working the girl up, because women are supposed to have fertility problem and men don't.
Okay,
you're there pretending.
I'm going to go on a break. Let me link this to what Pastor Kingsley said. Pastor Kingsley Kunkwom, very famous pastor, was saying that many Nigerian marriages have ended long ago. They're just being held together by society, poverty, and kids. And I can add sexual relations to that too, because many people, what makes a marriage has totally ended is only being held by a string of something. And that goes to where you're having issues where you've lied to somebody you were with. They have no idea that you've been deceptive, but you're just holding them on and they're just there. And even she knows that she's been lied to. So some women find solution where they get pregnant for somebody else, bring the children to the house and lie that it's yours. You know it is not yours because you know you've lied to her. She knows, and we're all just lying together and we're just there.
Yeah.
So because of society, so those people are there because of society. Husband knows that, I thought I was impotent. Wife says, let me go and bring it from outside. At least we have a family. Your family is there, mommy, daddy, children, and we're all just smiling. Deception. It's happening in our country.
It is.
So society is the one that is holding you with a string. But if society looks away and allows you to be, everybody will tell each other the truth and then move on. But we don't do that because we don't want to. So why are we all just faking it? That's the real question. I have this caller. Good morning. Are you there?
Yes, good morning.
Thanks for calling, John. You're live.
Happy New Year to you, lady.
Happy New Year to you, sir.
Yes, you see, you are discussing a very, very sensitive and very key issue in marriages. Very sensitive and very key. You see, it's not just about the male alone. Women also are affected here. So people need to talk about sex before marriage. It's very important. It's key. I'm married. I experienced it early part of my marriage. But fortunately, we were able to work it out. Now, what about women who don't really orgasm? Have we talked about that?
What? Women who don't.
What about women who don't reach orgasm?
Okay.
Have you talked about that?
Okay.
It's a breakfast.
That's an issue.
We can talk about it.
Is
that one an issue?
John, Mr. John, listen. Let's go on a break.
We can talk about it, but how do we couch it for breakfast?
For breakfast
We can couch it for breakfast. So NBC doesn't give us this fine. Let's see what we can do because it's an important conversation to have. Because somebody was telling me that she doesn't have we don't have the data, but we are sure, almost certain that 7 out of 10 women have never experienced it before.
And why?
And many of them haven't. And they just fake it. And that's it. Fake it because they want their own job in their mind is to please. If a guy is okay,
Please the Lord.
He's the Lord. Once a guy is fine, everything is fine. We can just move on. That's what women go through.
Let's go over.
Should we go into that conversation? Let me digest it. We'll talk about it after the break. Stay with us.
Yes.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing red flags, intimacy in marriage, and it's a breakfast show, so we're going to be very careful because we don't want youngsters watching this. But these are important issues for us to discuss because many homes are dependent. It's a new year. Hopefully, some people can hear this show today and be able to begin to make changes. So our last caller was talking about the end game, which I like to call Jerusalem, which is where in every situation, in every home, in every intimate activity, they're trying to hit Jerusalem. But some men don't know how to hit. Some women they've never gotten to Jerusalem. A lot of men have never gotten there. Some men don't even know how. They know that there's a road to Jerusalem. All the way, all the inner roads. Some men have no idea.
Is different.
They only just fly you straight to Jerusalem. They don't realize that it is the trip. It is the how. There are different avenues you go. You go into this road, you see this flower, you come back out. They don't have a clue. They rather just take a flight straight to Jerusalem. And that's the problem with marriages today.
And then you leave the other passenger at the gate of Jerusalem. You are flown to Jerusalem. The partner is at the gate. You don't know that you have to walk hand in hand from the gate.
They are on the
all
same
the
page
way
across.
to Jerusalem. I get it.
I hope those who are adults understand what
Let
I'm
me
saying.
bring religion inside.
Okay, please bring
Professor Aslam said, one should not fulfill sexual intercourse with one's wife like an animal. There should be between each a play. Should I put the name?
The road to Mecca.
Yeah, so on the roads down, some trips are not flight trips. They are a trek.
Yes.
Walk the trek together. If one person jump, only one person gets
Get there.
and the other person
He's left behind.
So it's a prophetic saying because in Islam there are books that you can learn what you need to do. And I read all of them before I married.
So let me so descriptive.
So you read very well. It's small in details. The places you should never touch, places you can touch. And then what
Really?
they can do to, yes.
The book of Psalms is also, no, book of
Solomon.
Psalms.
Yes,
Solomon.
it's there.
I think
So,
it's
because
very,
somebody
very
told me
specific.
once that there was such a book.
Let me bring in another, still within the same space, but I think that we've already said something. Communication doesn't happen effectively. Honest communication regarding intimacy doesn't happen in marriage enough times to resolve any potential issue. And we've said this last year, there was a conversation we were having, and we said, have a regular review. A review of, are we doing okay? Am I doing well? Can you honestly tell me we're doing okay? What would you like me to do better? How can I serve you better? And it should be a mutual thing where the conversation happens on both sides. And the journey to getting and improving one another happens. Because marriage is not one day. It is a lifetime journey of polishing one another, grooming one another, helping each other getting better. And so it's not like, oh, I didn't get it right in the first year, we have failed in marriage. Many marriages pack up prematurely. That if given proper nurturing, that marriage can still blossom into something beautiful. So it's important that we're starting a new year. Let's do a review. How was last year? What can I do better this year? Have that conversation and start intentionally working on how to get better
And just for
with each other.
the Bible part, there's a biblical journey to the place, and it's found in Song of Solomon from chapter 7, verse 1 to 5, and he breaks it down. If I break it down the way it breaks down.
Go and read it yourself.
Let me, we have to wrap up on this. Let me just take Jennifer. We're going to wrap up on this topic. Jennifer, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good morning, ladies.
Morning.
Yeah, very interesting topic we're discussing this morning. So I just want to focus around this issue about women who haven't been gotten to Jerusalem, if we are allowed to use that word. I think the issue is there is no really hard rule about this. If the couple are communicating on their way to Jerusalem, for example, if the woman feels that the man, doesn't know the route, it's just about communication. Tell the man, this is where you're going. It's not really landing Jerusalem. So let's do it this way.
We don't land in
It's all about
Jerusalem.
communication, talking through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But a typical African man would question the woman, oh, you've learned something. Who is teaching for this thing? And that's why sometimes most women just keep quiet and endure. You find that most women are enduring, in the marriages, and they're not really enjoying sex,
Thank
so
you.
we should encourage women and we should encourage couples generally to communicate during this time. And that way we'll be able to satisfy each
Thank
other.
you so much, Jennifer. Some men, their egos get in the way. You think, when it comes to this matter,
not
let us drop egos. You think it's all ego?
You see, this communication is so important from my own experience. I appreciated being asked because I didn't know it was something somebody could discuss with the partner. So I appreciated being asked, how did you feel? I appreciated it more than anything. And I wondered, I asked, do you want to know? And so we talked about it. And somebody has to make that step. Somebody has to break it and make it normal. And I remember gossiping with my auntie the next day. They asked me, talk about it with the person so that you people are growing together. If you do not leave anybody on the side, the marriage will not fail if it comes to that.
Now, there's this.
It will not fail.
See, and this is important. This conversation, I've been seeing a lot of young people are saying that the access to pornography is affecting intimate relationships in marriage. And it got me thinking, where do good men and women go to get proper education about intimacy? Where can they go without feeling judged or without feeling that they'll be mocked? Where can they go and just be themselves? What these sites do is to give you all sorts of content without judging you. So we want people to have healthy, intimate relationships. Then we have to create spaces where they can come and talk about it without feeling a certain way. And I don't know, in churches, I never did the pre-marriage, whatever. I don't know if that is offered, where you sit there and you actually talk about it. Don't talk around it. Don't gloss over it. Like, talk about it. If a young man who's about to go into marriage has a specific question, is there someone to give that person a specific answer?
That's what the Sisters Circle is. The Sisters Night is for in Nikais. So when we gather at Sisters Night, all the women gather, married women especially. They're supposed to be sharing experiences with the newly married person. And some people will not be putting sugar. I remember one time when one of my aunties said to the new bride, "Come on, tell him to come on for lunch." And stupid me, when I was unmarried there, I thought it was food. She then looked at me and said, because the way you are looking at me, I'm not talking about food.
She knew that you didn't know.
When your husband goes to work angry, and that thing did not happen in the night, if you ask him if lunch is free, if his office is not far, tell him to come up for lunch. And telling the bride, do it any time of the day with your husband anywhere in the house.
Seems realistic.
No, because
No, just steps
people,
at least to start.
people, because we have this myth around it. We thought it was for some. So somebody has to demystify it, break it down for a young girl to understand. Some people will never talk to you about it. My mom never thought it was something to talk about. I don't think she will even be able to talk about it.
We need to wrap up on this because this is a topic for...
So are there brothers that do...
Yes, they do for guys, but guys, they'll be there discussing football. But the girls talk about it.
Men need to learn this stuff. Anyway, we have to wrap up. Let me take a final call from Phil. Morning, are you there, sir?
Yeah, good morning, I'm here.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. You're live. Go ahead, sir. Yes, very clear.
Okay. It's an interesting topic, especially the journey to Jerusalem.
This journey,
because he said because the red cap. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My friend always said because the red cap chief, he can't go down there, can't give head.
Not the breakfast show. The breakfast show. Sorry,
I didn't hear him.
No, sir.
I thought when they were giving the title, did anybody mention anything about not giving head on the list of
over and over again. Breakfast show,
Sorry.
sir.
I can't hear what he's saying. I don't understand. So I didn't get that. I don't repeat it.
We cannot hear it on a breakfast show.
Okay,
sir.
let's move on.
Okay, let's just move on.
Okay, let's
So
you know what?
This is
Biliki says she's missing BC and YK on this
Yes.
Now then for break this table.
They would have said maybe we are nice people.
BC would have definitely scattered this table. But let us let's wrap it up because this is one of those topics that we need to go back home, digest it, and see how we can reproduce it for TV properly because it's an issue that has to be addressed on both sides. Deceitful men, deceitful women, deceitful actually, and deceitful men also that they're not truthful about their desires, what their sexuality, what they want, what they desire, what they want, and all that. So we need to think about it properly and see how we can reproduce it for another day.
For breakfast.
For a breakfast TV, or if we can't do it, we can pick a day and have a separate show separately for this kind of stuff because it's an important matter that needs to be dealt with. But let's go on a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about these herbalists that we heard that died after getting intimate with a pastor's wife. So the conversation is about what happened. Is it Magu or is it coincidental or is it the Holy Spirit, thunderbolt? Anything can happen. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're moving on to another topic. Nima was going to give us establish the story of what happened with this herbalist. Tell us.
Okay, so there's a story that was trending of a man who died after having sex with a woman, and it was reported that this man, who is a herbalist, a known herbalist, died on top of a woman who had been Magu has been placed on. That's Magu is don't climb, don't touch. The traditional antidote against adultery that traditionally is placed on women. African juju kind of
declared that is Magu. Is it the police? Or
that's the story. Sadly, the woman is a pastor's wife, and only her husband can place the Magu. How come we are where we are?
Question again, who declared that it's Magu? So, is it the police?
How do you determine
Is the story? I was not there. I was not there.
That's the conversation. So who did? Because we see things on social media, and somebody comes up with an angle, and we all follow that angle. How do we know? Do we know it is a Magu?
People die within intimate situation that nobody accuses it of Magu because Magu has a trait that leads to death. So when they say it's Magu, it's because the man exhibited some traits after.
For example,
so there are three signs.
Okay, please tell us.
One is the somersaulting.
Is it from home video or is it from someone that
just read African culture, African tradition on Magu on
Let me Google
read
that.
it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there are three.
There's the
One
that
is
they back like a dog.
somersaulting. One is the barking. One is asking for water.
Barking like a dog.
Yes. And the moment that need is satisfied, the man dies. It shows that the woman had that Magu on her. Those 3 things.
So which one did the pastor do here?
They did not detail.
But
He's
they
a
said,
herbalist.
But they said it there. That a herbalist, this is how he died. So, and Magu can only be placed on a woman he slept with. Now, sadly, the woman is the pastor's wife.
So my
the
question-
pastor or a
So
traditionalist.
my question is the pastor now culpable for manslaughter or murder?
Nimo,
You see,
yeah,
all
you know,
this,
yeah.
most of these juju deaths are unresolved. Most of it, they are never resolved. But traditionally, the people know what led to what. Especially if a man is trying to somersault and they're holding him. If he does the first one, they will hold him. And then watch the Thunderbolt. I think that Tunde Kelani's The Thunderbolts clearly showed.
So it's movie.
So that confirms
Okay,
that
No,
it's movie.
it's Nora your read.
Okay,
If somebody
Magu
now
is
shows
a
you what
charm.
happens in a movie,
Let me-
doesn't mean it's from movie they wrote Magu.
Okay, say, let me read this. Magu is a charm that originates from the Yoruba tribe in Nigeria.
you.
It literally means do not climb. Magu has been used for centuries to catch a wife who has an extramarital affair or to put a promiscuous man in check. Some parents are known to put Magu on their daughters to discourage premarital sex and ward of rapists. Okay, interesting. One, a woman and her lover. So there are 3 different sorts of Magus. Number 1, a woman and her husband stick like glue during the process of sexual relations. The man cannot detach himself from the woman.
I
That's
didn't even
one.
know that one was part of it.
2, another variation where the man sleeps with the woman who has Magu on her, he starts to crow like a rooster. So they're different. You are saying dog, this one is saying rooster. Rooster.
Rooster
He said
anymore.
another popular variation of Magu is that one man somersaulting 3 times. Okay, you said that one. Those are the 3. So your own is rooster, your own is dog.
He asks for water.
You didn't
There's
put that
that
one.
one.
So
I
there
read
may
that
be
one.
other
I studied
depending
that
on
one as a
where you're
Yoruba
from.
student in secondary school.
I could study.
So from this story,
Yes.
we don't know for a fact what happened. We can't declare it's Magu.
But
They
the,
did not put the
Because
details
something
there,
we
but
don't
the
know.
viewers, the people who observed the death, the dying,
So
confirmed that it was a Magu death. What they did not tell us is which of the style of
of the
Magu.
Magu that...
In case it wasn't Magu, could there be other reasons? Could there be?
If it's
could
other
it be the
characters,
Holy
make news
Spirit?
now.
yes,
It won't
but
make the
let
news
us
now.
even understand this Magun and if it still exists today.
Ah,
And there's this thing where, yes, we have Christianity, we have Islam, but we have our traditional ways of doing things. I have always looked at these things as, not true, like just
Myths.
yes. But I mean, Nima has tried to send the message like this is real, and if we have it in our history books, then is this something that we need to study properly? Is this something that we need to teach people in that this is something that if you decide to involve yourself in adultery or fornication, you may come across and help to deter that sort of behavior? If it is something that's culturally ours, is it something that we're ashamed of and we don't want to encourage it, or is it something that we can bring to the fore and try to use it, market it, and sell it to the world? So for me, that's the only way I can look at this conversation of what importance is this Magun in this conversation. If it's not something I can put in a tablet
And I'm going to
sell
stand
it for the world.
traditionalist now.
Okay, so let us put it in different boxes. Box 1 is that it happened, Magu happened.
Okay.
Box 2 is that maybe there was a heart attack. Box 3 is that the pastor probably also is a traditionalist. He's not a real pastor if he had indeed put Magu on his wife. So do we have real men of God out there? Well, I mean, that's the conversation, because this kind of story makes it look as if, make it look as if, oh, pastors
You
are
see
not
all the
real
other
pastors.
ones, leave it. But you see that conversation, that last one, that's the conversation.
So for me, following that conversation is the fact that there are several pastors, called pastors,
Religious people.
religious leaders
Not
who
pastors,
still believe that they are traditional means and they still seek traditional helps. They are the ones that will still go in Babalawo to let them check if this church would prosper, or they will say they want to go and do a sacrifice. There are churches where people say there are churches or religious organizations where the leaders still consult Babalawos and they still use charms. They have charms.
Same
and
as imams,
They
too.
believe in charms.
That's like
They
religious
fear
people.
charms. The pastor will be like, is this charm? This charm, no, don't bring it to my church, because they also believe in those things. So the Bible already said that during the end times, there'll be proliferation of these things happening. I think that
the bad thing? Why is our own, the power that comes from our own traditional, why is it the negative?
I don't know, but there are good sides to it because our traditional means are where we got that ginger, turmeric, all these herbs help to cure sicknesses, and we can use them. There are many people that cure impotency with traditional means, and they use herbs, and it cures those things. So there are good sides to our traditional our culture, but the evil sides are what religious people shouldn't be mixing with. For me, that pastor is not a pastor, because if
he was Magu,
if he indeed used Magu,
if he puts it on his wife, if he puts it on his wife, it means that he's a person of both sides.
Yes.
But as a Muslim, I know we pray, we seek refuge against black magic. We do our morning prayers to prevent against black magic. So I know that there are things, these things exist. And thanks to Mr. Adeyemi in secondary school, SS1 to 3, all the African things in Yoruba language, because I was taking Yoruba, I learned the Oriki, I learned all the Orisha, something, and it was part of exam.
Let me take this call.
It. So I know to stay away. When I hear some things you are saying, I will just walk away,
Let me take Mr. Olagoke. Olagoke, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yes, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Good morning and good morning to the gentle ladies.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, please, I only want to comment briefly on this issue of Magu.
Yes, please.
It is Yoruba antidote for immorality for men. But there are other causes, medical. If you are on high cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and during the exhaustive moments with a lady, you can give up from there. You can have heart attack. That is why men, and not only men, should check their vitals all the time. And if you are hypertensive and you're on drugs and you go on such exercise with a woman, you could end up giving up. That is not Magu.
Exactly.
We have 201 Magus. 201.
Wow.
From the Yoruba tradition.
Wow.
One dangerous one is when you engage in it, you invite a snake, which is called Oka. And that Oka has its own dance. If you drink, when that Oka develops, that is the dangerous snake, the smallest and the very dangerous one. It will come out of your tummy and off you go. You go down there. And when it comes out, it's going, it disappears. That man goes there, no remedy. No remedy. And the one that they said, don't climb, you tumble 3 times. If it is after, when you are going home after doing something with the woman, and you're able to catch, if you have what is called Ajesara. We have Magu and we have Kagu.
Mr. Olagoke, can I ask you a question? Mr. Olagoke, is there a Magu for men? Like, can a woman put one on a man?
Thank you.
Yes, for men, yeah, they do that.
Which ones? Give an example.
Ejaculate.
Yes.
Not called
but
Magu, something.
we have Magu, we have Kagu. Kagu means climb. When you climb such a woman, nothing happens to you. That means you have antidote
So
at the
the
man.
antidote for that.
You have the antidote for the Magu.
Yes.
Hey,
But apart from Magu, we are focusing on my Magu for the traditional practice from Yoruba.
Yeah.
We should focus on the health condition of that man. If the health condition does not permit you to do such exhaustive exercise, you are placing your health and your life in danger. That is it.
We have more questions for you, Mr. Olagoke, please.
Is this specifically a Yoruba thing? And why did the Yoruba people think they needed so many Maguns?
What is it?
Is this Magun thing? Is this specifically
It's not only. There are various types from different parts of the country.
Okay.
Why is there a need for Magu, sir?
Yes.
I mean,
Is there something in the Yoruba
you have a
culture or
promiscuous
behavior that brought about the necessity of getting so many Maguns? What is it in the culture or behavior or lifestyle?
They are against immorality.
Mr. Olagoke, are you still
So
there?
many of them.
I think we lost him.
Hello?
Oh,
Yeah. He said, why are there so many Magus? Yeah.
on the last note.
Go ahead, Mr.
The network is a bit bad.
Sorry.
But I want to advise your platform. Please, let's take this advice. I want to advise you. Please, as you call medical doctors to come and analyze some issues, please call on alternative medical practitioners.
Would love to.
Would love to.
Yeah.
Please, are you offering yourself? We will be happy to bring you on the show.
Are you a
Our producer can get your phone number. Are you a herbalist?
This is This is my phone number.
No, are you a herbalist? Are you a herbalist?
I'm a natural medical practitioner.
Oh,
Okay,
good.
I'd like to have
So we'd
you.
definitely like to have you on the show to come and educate us on this.
Please.
So our producers will get your phone number. So hopefully very soon we'll have you on to come and educate us on this.
Thank you.
Magu and all these other Kagu and the others. Thank you so much. Mr.
Oh,
Fly.
my goodness.
I'm
But
just
I
really
think-
calm.
I think that...
So but I think I've learned something. Every man, before you start the process, do your vitals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get a BP
Very
machine to be
important.
sure that you're ready for the process.
No, that's but the Magu one. Is it vital to you?
No.
You have to check something
so
else.
the truth is, Magu is only always placed on married women. So in most cases, so that means don't commit adultery. That's the simple cure for Magu. There's no other cure. Don't commit adultery. If you did not go and touch what is not your own, Magu does not catch married women. Not married women and married men in their matrimonial bed.
Yeah.
It catches the ones that go and do what they should not be doing. So don't go and do what you should not be doing. Simple. And the truth is, there was a time before I had a car, and the driver, we're driving my taxi driver, yellow cabs then. The man, I wasn't married yet. The man said, alama laye, woman friend minio. Man friend mini. It be there for me like I drove him. I took him past the woman.
Friend.
He now said, this Amala woman is my friend. When I go there, she will give me the Amala and the other one. As in, this is a married man. The Amala woman is a married woman. Okay. Then we drove again past another man. And this other Amala woman too.
No,
why are you carrying me past all this
lying.
man? So there were two. I don't think he's lying because he didn't have to say it. It was just because
but we know that men do that now.
some
They like
exaggerate.
to boast about
You make
things
a
that they
good
don't.
point.
But what the point I'm making is there are several cases where, especially where women that were very commercial, financially commerce-oriented, were interacting with a lot of men. That women, their husbands started suspecting them. So this was a way to say that if you do anything, at least you want to do your trade, you can do your trade. You want to be going out and
So Magu only happens to the man that sleeps with the woman is left alone, right? She's okay.
Yeah.
But the woman, according to
the
one of
movie.
the books, the movie.
The movie in
No.
so
in real life,
According to the man, because we studied it into the Ogbonio, yes, and into the Benin one. I remember him saying that the woman at some point will have to do something to avert it
remove
if
it
she doesn't
do
have
anything.
illegal.
Okay, let me take Ade from London. Good morning, Ade. Are you there? Thanks for calling.
So it's dangerous
Yeah,
for
good
the
morning,
woman.
Mariah.
You're live.
I just want to say something that Magu is not for married women. They can put on young girl as well.
Yes.
Girlfriend.
We're already.
So it's not for married women only. So find out from that man, will explain better to you.
All right, thank you. Somebody said kanji no good allow do vital. What does that mean? What is kanji?
Sexual urge will not allow you to do your vitals. It's our producer, Dolapo, that sent it.
I was like,
But another thing is we've seen a lot of situations where these very older men
when did this show end
go
itself?
after younger girls, and it actually, like the man said, exhaustive exercise. This is an exhaustive exercise. You're a man in your 50s, your 60s. You are now going to go and meet a small girl. Your heart cannot carry what you are pursuing.
Yes.
Just stay at home with your
No, even if you don't see, my own is that once you are 50 and above, before you do the please check your vitals.
You know,
Take your body
if you are
machine
doing
with
within
you.
your
Sure.
house with your wife, what are you checking vitals?
No, you check your vitals.
Some men will not use aphrodisiac. I use sexual stimulant and even kill themselves because that one will even pump your pressure, your blood pressure up, kill yourself.
Generally,
I wanted
be
to
healthy.
harp on this topic because of the way it was reported, the religious city in it, and the doubt of what we had as a past before our religions came. So yesterday, Goldmine posted a video from somewhere in my area, from my state, where they found a python and the man was holding on to the python and they released the python to his natural habitat without killing it. I commented there because I know very well, I heard from my grandmother that we don't kill pythons in my place. And that even those days in the farms, they keep their babies at home around the pythons. You will come back and the baby is safe. It's a myth and history of the Esako people. I'm saying it on live TV because several young Esako people came on the comments insisting they are from Esako and they have never heard of it. Maybe you don't have somebody who to tell you your history, but you can find out your history because it is a popular thing. It didn't even happen in my own place. It happened in Fuga, that video. And Fuga people were all Esako people.
That python was large.
It was large. Twice in my father's house
I
in Lagos here, we saw pythons. My parents didn't even allow us to touch the python. Because we lived among Awori people who eat seafood and all of, were the ones, In fact, when they were cutting the butchering and they were offering us that, my parents said, we don't eat it. We are EBA people. We don't touch it. And we stayed off it. And then somebody brought religion and said, that means the people are worshipping it. I said,
So, but
auntie,
the angle is that
long
if
after
a
religion has
Muslim,
come,
if a devout Muslim,
they didn't touch it.
Would you still believe in those things? I think that's the question. That if I'm a devout Christian, do I still believe that, okay, I am from Issachar and I don't kill pythons?
I won't touch it.
But I would feel that because I'm a Christian, I'm a new person, I
my-
don't believe, it nullifies every access I have with the
my
python.
mother's dad, when he was
That's
the chief
a
imam
very-
of the village, he used to allow killing of the snake. But he told his children the story. I was only relating a story of our history.
Well, my
It's
question
painful
is,
how young people
if
just
you-
come out. I
yeah,
want to
but-
talk
so
about
killing,
correct.
the killing of it, does it have a negative impact on the community? So, you know, there are a lot of things that we have put aside and we've picked up this new religion and this new way of life. And I don't think that I don't think it's without consequence. There has to be something that we may suffer for forgetting our roots. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think
I also feel that-
Let me take this
can't
call.
say that.
Let me take it from Mark. Has been holding from Calabar. Good morning, Mark. Are you there? Oh, I'm so sorry, Mark. I do
So
apologize.
I feel that, you know, sometimes some animals, they'll say if you rear an animal and you grow up, there's an animal around you and you've always treated that animal, maybe it's a carnivorous animal and it can hurt you, or because you grew up in and there's love, you nurtured, that animal will not hurt such a person. So typically, such a snake supposed to hurt and bite people, but if the entire environment never killed it, they know that you are not a threat to me. But the day you become a threat to me, then I start attacking such a threat. Societally, there are different societies that come up with different things to protect themselves. Some might say, we don't do, in our area...
But I think what Nima is trying to say, like, respect the tradition. Yes, I am a Muslim, I'm a Christian, but understand it, respect it, and let
we
it
have
be.
to know it to understand
This
it.
is
We
what I
don't
wanted
even
to
know
explain to you. It might not be that there's a consequence, but I read the book, The Leopard Boy, when I was in JS3, which helped me dig further into this myth. There was also the myth around the river, around the Auchi people that my grandmother told me. May God rest her soul. And so much of these things sort of linked human existence and spirits to the spirits of those animals. So some people are given titles. They're called spirits of the tiger. And my village itself is called Ibeyakwi, children of the scorpion. So there must be some sort of link.
right.
Just read your history and probe certain names and things
So
and live
the
what
difference
you don't
between you
understand.
and maybe a Christian. A Christian will say, because
Exactly. I
the
wasn't
blood of
raised-
Jesus has been
You
has
see,
cleansed me
my
from
cousins
everything.
did all of
And you
those
are
things.
raised to
me-
see
I'm raised-
everything traditional
traditional
as
as
evil.
Bad,
Yes,
as evil.
yes.
Whereas
So-
people had their ways before the religions came. And the religions coexisted with them until you started to call the things you didn't understand without probing.
But are we ready?
You know?
This thing that we're digging, for me, it's like we're digging something. Are we ready to dig deep into this with
And
all the
realize
consequences
it.
and all the things that it comes with? There's I feel there's colonialism that calls our traditional way of things black magic. But also, the stories we have heard is just scary. With Christianity, you can commit a sin, and if you go to God in prayer, you'll be forgiven. You commit adultery, you go to God in prayer, you'll be forgiven. In our tradition, you commit adultery and you're immediately taken care of.
No, you can do some
these
rituals to
conversations that we want to
cleansing
even have to understand our culture again and understand how things are done. Are we ready for also the other things that come with it?
So those are the antidotes we're talking about. So once you enter Magu now, and the guy is flipping up and down, he's going to die, right? The guy that flips someone, so
Okay,
he will die.
we don't do Magu, but I know that they do cleansing rituals. Even for something as simple as fighting your husband, you kill goats among my people. So there are several
Yeah, I
cultures.
get that, man.
Things are in details. I remember once there was an argument, say, beat your husband. If he beats you again, beat him, I'll buy goat for your people, for his people. So I just used to sit amongst those, my elderly ones, picking their stories and just wondering, how does this even make sense? And eventually, I would ask my grandma. I used that story once to catch a thief in my class. Somebody stole my book, and I kept asking. I said, okay, well, from my place, there's a river. If I promise the river anything, and it could be a couple, the person who stole my book will go mad. And the girl, who is from Lagos, confessed quickly that I took your book home. Don't go and kill me. So there's this fear we have of our traditional ways of things, you know?
Which is why some people have said that while counting down towards a new administration, that we should not swear by Bible or Quran when our new administration are coming in.
They should swear by Magu.
They should swear by, not Magu, they should swear by Ogun.
I'm telling you, whatever they use
Or
for
they
that
should bring
Magu.
Ayilala water. You see that thing? I've heard they say there's I think it's in Abeokuta or something, there's one water that they say is Ayilala.
Ayilala is not...
I don't know. They shall say
Go
they
in,
bring the
take
water.
it back to Ondo.
If in Lagos State now, which one is the traditional means here. Because people fear the traditional means. You will see a lot of our politicians that they will hear that they did not go to their office, so they sprinkled water before they enter the office. So and they are Christians, but they will not call pastor. They say that I should not sit down on the chair. What should I do?
I gave you that.
Yes, sir. So it means that in many people, they are the first fear. God is a forgiving God. Allah is forgiving, but they know Ogun will not forgive them. Amadioha will not forgive them. So we might as well, when we are doing our election, after election, they say, I want to swear in. Yes, they should swear by Amadioha.
I know. I gave you the gist now. I gave you the gist. That's my pastor friend. That guy, my pastor friend. He was so excited that he knows somebody has become a commissioner. I said, what's exciting? Are you going to get a contract? No. I'm going to be his personal pastor. Well, how? I said, I already called him. I told him that he should not enter this office. That I have to come and pray. So he went there to go and pray. Of course, sanctified. Of course, they'll give him something. You now call again. He had a dream. Don't go to that place where they have put something in front of your door. I must come and sanctify. The guy was just making money from this guy back to back.
Can you imagine that?
Imagine. Trade.
Yeah.
But the point is, okay, we have to wrap up this show because I'm looking forward to wrapping up today.
So the good side to the snake story is that I found my cousin.
Online.
Oh. He was defended?
No. She saw the comments, and by the time she mentioned her mom's name, I'm still doing, and I found my father's cousin online. Also, these things, when they clash with your religion, because I am Muslim, and it is shirk to practice any other thing, stay away from it, but understand it and leave it the way it is. Don't mix it up.
Can I just take, let's end with this. Can we end with this tweet? Emmanuel says, all evidence shows there's nothing like black magic, but science is clear. British came to defeat our ancestors with science and our magic failed. Everything about your studio and broadcast is scientific. How come Africans haven't won World Cup? There's a medical explanation for it.
We have to wrap up. As I said, today's one of those shows that I can't wait to wrap up. The conversation has been very, very difficult to have. But either way, I think in a nutshell, what we need to do is understand and respect our culture as is. It doesn't remove from our religious practices or beliefs, but also rather that before we bring out a report and say something is Magu, let's be very clear, because even this story that we treated today, we're not sure. It was somebody's position, somebody's perspective based on what they saw. They then assumed it's Magu, and now it's become a topic. So before we declare that something is Magu, let's be 100% sure. Either way, let's respect everybody's religious practices or traditional beliefs. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Bye for now.